I told you about Grandpa.
Mm-hmm. So he liked to play
the concertina.
The concertina.
Yeah.
Did he like
to sing?
Oh, he liked to sing, did he?
Well, like I said, always Tannenbaum.
Oh, Tannenbaum and
Silent
Heilige
Night.
Nacht.
Those were his two favorites.
Stille Nacht. And you were talking, oh, I know, you were talking about the friend that your grandmother had that liked to go to the movies with her.
Yes, the two of them. I can remember walking from 17th Avenue to 6th Avenue to go to the movie. About once a month. And every Sunday, the three boys always went down there in the morning.
Which three boys?
Hans, Klaus,
and
Charlie. Every Sunday morning they went down to see their parents. And see, we all lived right close together. Hans we lived on 17th Avenue. Hans and his wife, Mary, lived on 16th Avenue, right behind Grandma and Grandpa. And Charlie lived on the corner of 17th Avenue and 5th Street, and Ann and Terry lived just 2 doors down on 5th Street. So we were all right close, but not Aunt Tilly. She was like Grandma Lynch.
Now, Tilly was a bone, wasn't she?
Right.
Now, she had her sister was Clara, wasn't it?
And a very good friend of Ann's, but she never went to see Tilly.
What happened with Tilly? I mean, I met Clara Bone, and she was the nicest person you could ever meet.
That's what I want to say. She was one of Ann's best friends, and used to come down there all the time. Would walk now, Mike, from... She lived with her daughter on 2nd Avenue, right down here. And she would walk from 2nd Avenue to 17th Avenue to spend an afternoon with Ann. And then you have to walk back.
Yeah.
But I don't know, in those days you didn't think anything of walking. See, when I got out of school and started working, I walked from 17th Avenue to 5th Avenue, worked from 8:30 till 5:30, walking.
Yeah, on your feet the whole time.
Yeah, on my feet all the time.
You were at W.T. Grant, right?
Right, and then I walked back home at night. So, you know, walking, you
didn't walk home for lunch?
No, I paper bagged it. But you just expected to walk.
What were people most worried about back in those days?
Well,
I mean, today, you know, you can get excited about crime. There wasn't that much crime then, right?
No.
That was not a big worry for people.
No drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Or any of that kind of stuff.
How did people deal with things like depression, emotional issues, psychological things?
I don't know, Mike. I think that we had such a close-knit family that we always felt very secure.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. I think that was one of the big deals as far as emotions and so forth were concerned. Because, like every Christmas, New Year's, 4th of July, those were the 3 holidays, and the whole families would get together.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember...
Which would have been hard because the house wasn't that big. How did everybody fit?
I can remember going to sleep under a chair on the floor, like on New Year's.
Mm-hmm.
No, Christmas, I'll take that back. We didn't go on Christmas. It was New Year's Eve, 4th of July, Because I can remember the men always used to shoot off the fireworks. And they'd build a slot to shoot up the skyrockets. But no, Christmas we spent at home. As I can remember, Ed and Bud and Sis wanted me to believe in Santa Claus, and practically till I was in 8th grade. So every Christmas, it was Dad's job, let's go down and see Grandma and Grandpa. So he and I walked down to see Grandma and Grandpa. And then he'd invite them back to the house to see if we had a Christmas tree. Well, of course, we were only 3 doors down the street, and coming up, you'd see the lights from the Christmas tree in the house. Mm-hmm. Santa Claus had come while we were down at Grandpa's.
Isn't that amazing?
And they kept practically, well, I don't know, they just wanted me to believe in Santa Claus.
So I guess you're saying ritual was important.
Yeah.
And that gave people a sense of comfort, a sense of security.
Well, I think the whole family did, you know, being so close. Because, gee, we thought nothing of going up and going in and out of Aunt Ann's house. You know, the same as we did at home. And the same way with Grandma and Grandpa's house. We knew we were always welcome. And then, too, with Hans and Mary. Now, we were not, see, 16th Avenue, where Klaus and Hannah lived, was about 3 blocks from where we lived. Well, that was a little far. But otherwise, Grandpa's, well, that, of course, was from the time we were real little. And then it got to be the same with Ann and Terry, because Jack was so close to my age, and whenever they would go to Chicago, they'd take me, so I'd be company for Jack. So there was a close relationship there. And like Hans and Mary, when they discovered that she had cancer, Hans took her to Mayo's immediately. And she had the surgery up there, which was drastic. And they came home, and then she was to go back. And he'd been off work, you know, for quite some time.
What did he do?
He was in line to be head of Clinton Foods.
Oh, yeah.
At that period of time. And, he was a Sharpie. Anyway, now you got me off track.
Well,
anyway, she was to go back for a checkup. So Hans asked Mother and Dad if I could go back with her. And I did. So there again you see the closeness of family. And I can remember when I graduated from high school, she was in the last throes. Oh, it was so sad, because she was so young. And she wanted to know all about the graduation and everything. And I said, well, when I get all dressed up, ready for graduation, I'll come up and show you my dress and what have you. Because we wore long white dresses and big white straw hats and carried a rose. It was pretty. And so anyway, I did. And she was real happy about that. But it wasn't too long after that she died.
A minute ago you mentioned the men, which brings to mind the question, you know, a big issue for the last 30 years has been women's liberation and this female issues. But what do you think the view, how do you think women felt about their role in life and the world in those days compared to today?
They just felt that was their spot. And
do you think they felt oppressed? Do you think they felt like they were being dominated?
I don't think so at all, Mike. I think, at least Mother didn't. She just felt that was her spot. And I can remember she and Dad talking, you know, about now should we get this or should we get that or should we get so-and-so.
In other words, they worked as a team.
But yeah.
Each had input into the decision.
Right.
So they didn't feel like the other was
and like Dad would come home and he was the one, well, I've told you about him putting me on ice skates when I had runners.
Mm-hmm.
I was that small. And he built a pair of, well, he didn't build the skates, but he built a brace on the skates, on the shoe skates, so that Ed could ice skate. He was determined that Ed was going to be able to do everything that the rest of us did.
Because of his polio.
Yeah. And he'd be the one that took us ice skating, and he was a good ice skater. And we'd go off ice skating and come home, and Mother'd have a great big